Put this on. He holds up silk, thin, almost transparent. It belonged to my wife. Tomoko's hands won't stop shaking. The fabric catches afternoon light, pale blue, foreign, revealing. Every woman in this tent knows what comes next. She's heard the stories. Every Japanese woman has. Kichikubei, Oni no Yona Yatsura, demon Americans, beasts wearing human faces. 4,500 Japanese women captured across the Pacific by July 1945. Only 73 stand in this Okinawa processing camp tonight. Tomoko is one of them. The American sergeant, tall, sunburned, wedding ring catching light, steps closer, drops the dress at her feet. Silk whispers against mud. All of you. His voice carries no emotion. Everything off. These on. Natsuki, 19, signals operator who hasn't eaten in 6 days, starts crying. Silent tears cutting through dust on her cheeks. Her fingers find the buttons of her uniform, but something's wrong with this picture. The sergeant turns his back, faces the tent flap, hands clasped behind him, waiting. Why would he turn away? Tomoko's brain stutters. The propaganda films showed them exactly what Americans do. The training manuals described it in detail. Every woman here memorized the procedure. Resist, then die. Never let them take you alive. Yet she's alive. They all are. And he's facing the wrong direction. 3 minutes, his voice again, still flat. Corpsmen will collect your uniforms. Collect? Not tear off. Collect. Diesel fumes drift through canvas walls. Somewhere outside, a truck engine idles. Tomoko's heart hammers against her ribs, not from what's happening, but from what isn't. Masai, the oldest at 34, former schoolteacher from Kagoshima, moves first. Her fingers work her buttons mechanically. The uniform drops. She reaches for the silk. It fits. Loose in some places, tight in others, clearly not made for her body, but it covers her. More than she expected, more than the propaganda promised. One by one the others follow. 73 women shedding Imperial Army wool, stepping into dead American wives' clothing. The tent fills with the rustle of fabric, the shuffle of bare feet, the sound of women breathing too fast. Tomoko is last. The silk slides over her shoulders, cool against skin that expected violence. The sergeant still hasn't turned around. And now a second American appears in the doorway. This one wears a white coat. Medical insignia on his collar. He's carrying a clipboard. And something else. A matchbook. He strikes one. The flame catches. And he says something that makes no sense at all. Burn them. 2 words. The match arcs through humid air. The pile of uniforms catches immediately. Wool hisses. Buttons pop in the heat. 6 years of imperial service curling into black smoke. Natsuki screams, lunges forward. My photograph. 2 corpsmen catch her, hold her back. The flames climb higher. Nays? Nays Moiru? No? Why? Why burning? Dr. Franklin Reeves, 42, Army Medical Corps, doesn't answer her question. He's already moving down the line with his clipboard, checking names against faces, against numbers. Typhus, he says to no one in particular. Lice, dysentery, cholera. Your uniforms are death traps. Tomoko blinks, processes, fails to understand. Typhus killed 3 million on the Eastern Front. 1 infected louse can spread to 200 people within a week. She knows this. Imperial Army medical training covered it. But the connection won't form. They burned the uniforms to protect us? The medical officer stops in front of Keiko, 26, artillery calculator, who's clutching the silk dress closed at her throat. His eyes drop to her feet. Boots too, all of you, now. 73 pairs of boots hit the mud. The smell rises immediately. Rot, infection, something worse. Tomoko looks down at her own feet. Blisters she'd stopped noticing weeks ago. Yellow fluid, the beginning of something green. Jungle rot. Dr. Reeves marks his clipboard. Untreated cases progressed to amputation within 3 weeks. We caught yours early. Amputation. The word hangs in smoky air. A female American nurse appears, Lieutenant Sandra Hollis, 29, Red Cross on her sleeve, hands already gloved. She carries a basin of water that steams in the evening cool. "Sit," she says, points at wooden benches none of them noticed. "Feet up, we're cleaning every wound tonight." "Bioin? Korewa Bioin Nano? Hospital? This is a hospital?" Keiko sits first. Her feet are worst, 40 miles walked barefoot after her unit was destroyed. The nurse kneels, actually kneels, begins washing with water that smells like antiseptic, an American, kneeling before a Japanese prisoner, washing her feet. Tomoko's worldview cracks, not breaks, cracks. Hairline fractures spreading through everything she was taught to believe. The smoke from burning uniforms stings her eyes. Or maybe it's something else. Behind her, Natsuki has stopped screaming. She's staring at the fire, at the photograph that's already ash. But Masai sees something else. The corpsman who held Natsuki back is now digging through the smoldering pile with a stick, searching, pulling something out. A photograph, singed at the edges, still intact. He walks toward Natsuki, holds it out. The photograph trembles in his outstretched hand, edges blackened, center intact. Natsuki doesn't move, doesn't breathe. Her brother's face stares up at her. Lieutenant Hideo Sera, Imperial Japanese Army, Iwo Jima Garrison. The last picture taken before deployment, Private First Class Danny Lucero, 23, the corpsman who pulled it from the fire, steps closer. "Yours?" She snatches it, presses it against her chest. Something breaks open inside her, not grief, not yet. Relief that his face survived. "Ani wa doko ni iru no?" Where is my brother? Corporal Michael Yamamoto steps forward. Nisei translator, 28. Parents currently in Manzanar internment camp. He looks at the photograph, at the unit insignia visible on the collar, and his face goes carefully blank. Tomoko catches it, the flicker of recognition, the immediate shutdown. He knows something. "Iwo Jima?" Yamamoto's voice is neutral, too neutral. "That unit?" Natsuki nods, still clutching the photograph. "He stopped writing in February. The mail was disrupted," Yamamoto cuts her off. "Many units lost communication." But his eyes slide away, won't meet hers. 22,000 Japanese soldiers defended Iwo Jima. Only 216 were captured alive. The mathematics are brutal, 98% casualty rate. Tomoko did the calculation instantly. Her artillery training made numbers automatic. Natsuki hasn't done the math yet. Dr. Reeves clears his throat. Medical examinations continue. Line forms here. The moment breaks. Women shuffle forward, bare feet on wooden planks. The antiseptic smell grows stronger as more basins appear. More nurses kneel. More wounds get cleaned. But Masai isn't moving. She's watching Yamamoto. The translator has stepped outside the tent, is lighting a cigarette with hands that shake slightly. He knows, Tomoko thinks. He knows her brother is dead. The question, when does he tell her? Aiko, 31, former communications officer who decoded messages for 3 years, sits on the examination bench. Lieutenant Hollis unwraps the rags around her feet. The smell hits immediately. Sweet rot, infection, something moving. Maggots. Hollis doesn't flinch, reaches for tweezers. They actually helped. Ate the dead tissue, saved your foot. Aiko stares at the white larvae being extracted from her own flesh. Her mouth opens, closes. Tekikoku no isha ga watashi wo tasukete iru. Enemy doctors, saving me. The tweezers click, 1 maggot, 2, 3. Each one placed in a specimen container, catalogued, removed with precision. Outside, Yamamoto finishes his cigarette, crushes it under his boot. He'll have to tell her eventually. But not tonight. Tonight there's another problem. The youngest prisoner hasn't spoken since capture, and she's refusing the medical exam entirely. Hanako sits in the corner, 17 years old. Knees pulled to chest, eyes fixed on nothing. Lieutenant Hollis approaches slowly, basin in hand, towel over shoulder. "I need to check your feet." No response, not even a blink. "Kanojo wa dukutsu kara koi wo dashite inai." She hasn't made a sound since the cave. Tomoko knows what happened in the caves. Everyone knows. When Okinawa fell, civilians were told what to do. Soldiers handed out grenades. Families gathered in circles. Parents killed children, then themselves. Hanako's entire unit chose death. She didn't. The silk dress hangs loose on her frame. She's lost 20 pounds since capture, maybe more. Her feet are visible beneath the hem, raw, infected, untreated. The worst in the group. "I'm going to touch your foot now," Hollis speaks softly, reaches forward. Hanako's hand moves faster than anyone expected, catches the nurse's wrist. Grip, like iron, but she doesn't attack, doesn't scratch or bite or scream. She just holds on, like a drowning person finding something solid. For 30 seconds, no one moves. Then Hanako releases, returns her hand to her knees, eyes still fixed on that distant point. Dr. Reeves makes a note on his clipboard. Psychological trauma. Mark for extended observation. Kanojo wa jibun wo korosu koto ga dekinakata. She couldn't kill herself. The words come from Keiko, the artillery calculator. Quiet statement of fact. No judgment. In Imperial Japan, surrender is worse than death. Every soldier knows this. Every woman too. Hanako should have died with her unit. She didn't, and now she has to live with what that means. The examination continues around her. Wounds cleaned, infections catalogued, 72 women processed with military efficiency. Hanako remains in her corner, untreated, unmoving. Then Masai, the schoolteacher, does something unexpected. She walks past the medical station, past Dr. Reeves, past Lieutenant Hollis, sits down next to Hanako, says nothing, just sits. 5 minutes pass, 10. The medical team continues working. Outside, the sun begins setting. Orange light filters through canvas. Hanako's hand moves, slowly, finds Masai's hand in the space between them. Neither woman looks at the other, neither speaks. But Hanako's feet extend forward, toward the basin, toward treatment. Dr. Reeves catches Hollis's eye, nods once. The nurse approaches again. This time, Hanako doesn't grab her wrist. This time, she lets the enemy touch her. Outside, Sergeant Carter Walsh finishes his cigarette, checks his watch. The second phase of processing begins in 20 minutes, and he still hasn't told them what the measuring tape is for. Arms up. Sergeant Walsh holds the measuring tape like a weapon. Don't move. Tomoko's stomach drops. The silk dress suddenly feels thinner, more revealing. Every propaganda film she's ever seen plays simultaneously in her head. Karada wo hakaru, sor kara, measuring bodies, and then the tape wraps around her chest, over the silk, numbers called out, written down. Waist, the tape moves lower, more numbers. Hips, lower still. Tomoko stands frozen, arms raised, heart hammering. This is it. This is how it starts. The measurements are for clothing requisition. Walsh's voice is flat, bored. Standard Army procedure. Can't issue proper uniforms without measurements. The words don't register, can't register, because everything she knows says otherwise. Next to her, Keiko is being measured by a different soldier. Same process, same clinical efficiency, same bored voice calling numbers. Size 4, American Standard, mark for replacement dress, current one's too large. Fuku? Kore wa fuku no tame? Clothing? This is for clothing? Dr. Reeves appears, clipboard in hand. Measurements are for winter allocation. You'll be transferred to a permanent facility in 2 weeks. Proper fitting reduces illness. It's protocol. Protocol. The word keeps appearing. Americans and their protocols. Natsuki gets measured next. She's still clutching her brother's photograph, pressed flat against her stomach beneath the silk. The measuring tape goes around it. The soldier doesn't ask her to move it. 32, 24, 33, small frame, malnourished, mark for supplemental rations. Supplemental rations, more food for prisoners. Tomoko's brain refuses to assemble the pieces into a coherent picture. In Japanese camps, prisoners eat less than guards. Always. It's humiliation by design. But here, they're being measured for better-fitting clothes, marked for extra food, treated like what? Douchite? Why? She says it out loud without meaning to. Walsh pauses, looks at her for the first time. Really looks. Because winter's coming, he says, and dead prisoners don't go home. Home? The word hangs in humid air. You think this is forever? Walsh finishes his measurements, moves to the next woman. War ends. Everyone goes somewhere. Our job is making sure you're alive, to get there. Alive. Home. Winter allocation. Proper fitting. None of these words appeared in the propaganda. The measuring continues. 73 women, 73 sets of numbers. Clinical, efficient, completely impersonal. Hanako's turn comes last. She stands when Masai guides her, raises her arms when asked. The tape clicks as it retracts, and Sergeant Walsh says something no one expects. Someone get this girl a blanket, she's shaking. The blanket is olive drab, standard Army issue, but Hanako wraps it around herself like it's silk. Tomoko watches, thinks about the dress she's wearing, pale blue, belonged to someone's wife. Whose wife? The question escapes before she can stop it. Sergeant Walsh pauses. His hand goes to the wedding ring, automatic gesture, probably doesn't realize he does it. Mine. The tent goes quiet. Even Dr. Reeves stops writing. Anata no Tsuma? Your wife? Eleanor. Walsh's voice doesn't change pitch. Same flat delivery. Tuberculosis, February 8 months ago. Tuberculosis killed 50,000 Americans every year in the 1940s. Tomoko knows this statistic. Didn't expect to hear it here. Didn't expect it to have a name. Eleanor. Her clothes were in my footlocker, Walsh continues. Couldn't throw them out. Quartermaster shortage hit the Pacific. Not enough women's clothing for prisoners. So, he gestures at the silk dresses, 73 of them, distributed from a dead woman's wardrobe. Kanojo no fuku wo watashi tachi ni ataita. He gave us his wife's clothes. Natsuki's hand goes to her own silk. The fabric suddenly feels different, heavier with meaning. The blue one. Walsh points at Tomoko. That was her favorite. She wore it the day we got married. Tomoko looks down at herself, at the pale blue silk she assumed was chosen to humiliate, to reveal, to prepare, wedding dress. She's wearing a dead woman's wedding dress. Dr. Reeves clears his throat. Sergeant, the prisoners need to know why they're wearing dead women's clothes. Walsh's voice finally cracks, just slightly. They deserve that much. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a photograph, holds it up. Eleanor Walsh, same dress, same blue, smiling in a garden somewhere, California maybe, before the war took everything. Kanojo wa kirei deshita. She was beautiful. The words come from Keiko, soft, almost reverent. Walsh looks at the photograph, at the women wearing his wife's wardrobe. Something shifts in his expression, not softening exactly. Recognition. She would have wanted them used. He puts the photograph away. Better than rotting in a footlocker. The measuring continues. But something has changed in the tent. The silk dresses aren't threats anymore. They're memorials. Natsuki looks down at her own dress, cream-colored, simple, probably something Eleanor wore to Sunday church. Her hand finds the photograph of her brother, still pressed against her stomach. 2 photographs. 2 people gone. She looks at Walsh, opens her mouth. But before she can speak, Corporal Yamamoto enters the tent. His face is pale. Sergeant, we have a situation. One of them, she's asking about Iwo Jima. Yamamoto stands in the doorway, won't come inside. His hands are shaking again. She keeps asking. He looks at Walsh. About the unit, about survivors. I can't keep... You told her the mail was disrupted. Walsh's voice hardens. Stick with that. Uso wo suite iru. They're lying. Tomoko sees it immediately. The way Yamamoto's eyes won't settle. The way Walsh's jaw tightens. They know something about Natsuki's brother, something they're not saying. 22,000 Japanese soldiers at Iwo Jima, 2 to 16 captured, 98% died. The math is devastating and obvious. Natsuki pushes forward, still clutching the singed photograph. You know something. Tell me. Yamamoto's Japanese is perfect. Parents from Hiroshima, grew up speaking both languages. But right now, he's silent, searching for words that don't exist. Your brother's unit, he starts slowly. 28th Regiment, cave fortifications on the northern... I know where he was stationed. Natsuki's voice cuts sharp. Is he alive? 3 seconds of silence. 5, 7. No. The word comes out broken. The caves collapsed in the naval bombardment. No survivors from that section. February 19th. I'm sorry. Uso da. That's a lie, but it isn't. Tomoko watches Natsuki's face and sees the moment belief collapses. The exact second when hope becomes ash. Her knees buckle. Masai catches her before she hits the ground. The photograph falls, lands face up on wooden planks. Lieutenant Hideo Sera, 23 years old forever now, smiling in a studio in Tokyo 1 week before shipping out. How do you know? Natsuki's voice comes from somewhere far away. How do you know he's dead? Yamamoto swallows. I was interrogation liaison, processed the survivor testimonies. 1 man from 28th Regiment made it out. He listed the names of everyone who didn't. Namai wo shita. He knew the names. Your brother held the collapse point, gave others time to retreat. Yamamoto's voice steadies slightly. He wasn't found in the caves. He was found in front of them, facing the entrance. Protecting the retreat, dying, standing up. Natsuki makes a sound, not a scream, not a sob, something worse. The sound of everything breaking at once. The other women close around her. Instinct, protection, hands finding hands in the dim tent. Walsh watches. Says nothing. There's nothing to say. Outside, the sun finishes setting. Stars begin appearing over Okinawa, the same stars Hideo saw on his last night alive. In the corner, Hanako finally speaks, first words since the cave. I couldn't save them either. Morning comes brutal and bright. Nobody slept. Private Gabriel Ortiz, 24, mess cook from San Antonio, arrives with the food cart at on 600. Steam rises from metal containers. The smell hits the tent like a wave. Rice, actual rice, white, mountains of it. Kome, kore, wa hontu no kome da. Rice. This is real rice. Tomoko stares at the serving portions. Each bowl is larger than her daily ration in the Imperial Army, by a factor of 3. Eat up. Ortiz ladles with practiced efficiency. Breakfast, lunch at noon, dinner at 1800, snacks available at medical station. 4 meals. 4 meals in a single day. Japanese female auxiliary rations, 1,200 calories daily. American POW rations, 3,200 calories, a 167% increase. Tomoko does the math automatically, can't stop herself. Horio no hoga yoku tabete iru. Prisoners eat better. Keiko takes her bowl, sits on the bench. Chopsticks provided. Someone thought about cultural accommodation. She takes 1 bite, then another. Then she's crying. She's been hungry for 3 years. Didn't realize how hungry until the food appeared, but Aiko won't eat. She sits apart, bowl untouched, staring at the rice like it's poison. Medical Officer Reiko Tanaka, 32, former nutrition specialist, captured during hospital evacuation, recognizes the look. If I eat this, Aiko says, what was it all for? Where wa weta ita, karera ga taberareru mane. We were starving, so they could eat. The Imperial Army fed its prisoners less than its soldiers, but it fed its soldiers less than necessary too. Calories diverted to officers, to admirals, to the war machine itself. Aiko survived on 800 calories a day for 18 months, watched friends die from malnutrition, believed it was sacrifice for victory. Now she's holding 1,400 calories in her hands, served by the enemy. freely given. Your country starved you. Ortiz doesn't speak Japanese, doesn't know he's being understood. We're not asking you to be grateful, just asking you to eat. But gratitude isn't the problem. Betrayal is. Masai approaches Aiko, sits beside her. Eating doesn't mean they were right. It means you survive to tell the truth. Ikite shinjitsu wo hanasu. Live and speak the truth. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then Aiko's chopsticks move. 1 grain, 2. A small bite swallowed like a confession. Across the tent, Hanako eats without hesitation. The girl who couldn't kill herself is now choosing to live. But Natsuki's bowl sits cold. She hasn't moved since last night. And someone has left a second photograph beside her. August 15, 1945. The radio crackles to life at noon. Lieutenant Colonel Douglas Hartley, 47 camp commander, carries the receiver into the women's tent personally. His face is unreadable. You need to hear this. He sets the radio on a crate, steps back, static. Then a voice, high-pitched, formal, speaking Japanese that sounds ancient. Chin wa Teikoku Seifu wo shite. We have ordered our government. Tomoko recognizes the voice before her brain accepts it. Emperor Hirohito, the living god, speaking directly to his subjects for the first time in history, speaking words of surrender. Taiheiyu senso wa owari wo tsugeru. The Pacific War comes to an end. The tent goes silent. 73 women frozen in various poses, eating, sitting, standing, all motion stopped. The emperor continues, talks about enduring the unendurable, suffering the insufferable. The words wash over them like ash. Natsuki speaks first, voice hollow. We lost. 3 words. The entire war collapsed into 3 words. 2.3 million Japanese soldiers dead, 800,000 civilians, 3 years, 8 months, and 26 days of Pacific combat. All of it ending in a tinny radio broadcast in an enemy tent. Keiko starts laughing, not joy, something broken. We lost, we lost, we lost. She says it 15 times before Masai holds her, stops the words with an embrace. Subete ga muda data. All of it was pointless, but Hartley shakes his head. Not pointless. It happened. Your people fought, some survived. You survived. He doesn't say the obvious. That survival is now its own kind of victory. Hanako sits motionless in her corner, the blanket still wrapped around her, processing something beyond words. She refused to die with her unit. For weeks that felt like failure. Now the war is over, and she's alive. What happens to us? Tomoko asks. Her voice sounds strange to her own ears. Where do we go? Home, Hartley says it simply. When transport's available. Back to Japan. Home. A word that meant something different 3 hours ago. Before surrender, before the empire collapsed. Ie ni keru. Going home. But what home exists now? What Japan remains? The radio continues with technical details, occupation terms, military directives. Nobody listens anymore. Aiko finishes her bowl of rice. First full meal she's eaten voluntarily in 18 months. Natsuki finally moves, reaches for the second photograph, the one left beside her while she grieved. It's her brother, different picture, older, standing with 5 other soldiers from his unit. On the back, handwritten in English, found in effects, thought she should have both. Yamamoto's handwriting, paper, blank. The pen feels foreign in Tomoko's hand. Lieutenant Colonel Hartley distributed the supplies himself. 73 sheets, 73 envelopes, 73 chances to tell someone, I'm alive. Ikite iru tukaite, write that you're alive. But Tomoko doesn't know what words to use. How do you write home from enemy territory? How do you explain that the demons weren't demons? 3 women to her left, Natsuki writes steadily. Both photographs, brothers' pictures, tucked into her envelope. She's composing a letter to their mother, explaining what happened, what didn't. Hanako holds her pen differently. First written word since the cave, she's writing to no one. Her entire family died in the bombardment. But she's writing anyway, documenting, remembering. The dress I'm wearing belonged to an American soldier's dead wife. He gave it to me to keep me alive. I don't understand these people. I don't understand anything anymore. Masai reads over her shoulder, says nothing. Some things don't need correction. September 1945, first transport ship leaves Okinawa carrying 31 former prisoners. Tomoko isn't on it. She volunteers to help process later arrivals. October 1945, Hanako speaks a full sentence for the first time. I want to become a nurse. December 1945. Natsuki locates her brother's grave on Iwo Jima, plants a photograph there, the singed one, rescued from the fire. March 1946. Last group of women departs. 71 returned to Japan, 2 stayed. Keiko married Private Ortiz, the mess cook. They opened a restaurant in San Antonio. Japanese-Mexican fusion. She lived until 2003. Aiko testified at war crimes tribunals. Named officers who diverted rations, became a nutritionist at Tokyo General Hospital. Tekikoku ni yotte sukuwareta. Saved by the enemy. The silk dress, pale blue, Eleanor Walsh's wedding dress, traveled back to Japan in Tomoko's bag. She couldn't leave it behind. 50 years later, 1995, she donated it to the Okinawa Peace Memorial Museum. The placard reads, "Clothing given by American captors to Japanese prisoners of war, evidence of unexpected humanity." Sergeant Carter Walsh visited once, stood in front of the display case for an hour. He never remarried. The final count, 73 women processed through that camp. All 73 survived captivity. 0 assaults documented, 0 deaths in custody. The propaganda promised monsters. Reality delivered something else. Tomoko's letter, finally finished, ended with 7 words. They gave us clothes. They kept us alive. The silk still hangs in Okinawa, pale blue, thin, revealing nothing now except the truth.